Hibiki runs through a strange field as he desperately tries to escape a creature that looks like a rabbit with a sharp horn. He shouts for the animal to leave him alone, pleading that he would taste terrible and is not worth eating. He knows that screaming for help is probably useless, but the sheer terror of being in an unknown place with a monster on his heels forces the cries from his throat. Just as he wonders what kind of creature could possibly be chasing him, a calm voice speaks in his mind, offering to appraise the target. The voice identifies the creature as a level 1 horn rabbit. When the voice asks if Hibiki would like to turn off the guidance, he frantically refuses, terrified of being left alone in the silence. In a stroke of clumsy luck, the rabbit lunges at him and Hibiki falls. He lands squarely on top of the creature, killing it instantly. Elsewhere in the forest, a girl hears a different voice telling her that something precious has been dropped to the east, prompting her to investigate. Still catching his breath, Hibiki checks his phone, only to find there is no service. He wonders if the voice he heard was just a hallucination brought on by stress. He looks at the dead rabbit and considers eating it because he is hungry, but he realizes he has no way to start a fire and doesn't even know if the meat is safe. The voice speaks again, confirming the meat is edible and would be excellent for a stew. Hibiki decides to take the carcass with him, even though he is uncomfortable touching a dead animal. He begins to test the voice by asking questions. When he asks about his bag, the voice explains it is made of materials that do not exist in this world. When he asks about the sky, the voice says there is no target to appraise. However, when he asks about the ground, the voice warns him that he is standing on a maze eater, a level 273 monster. Terrified that something is in the earth beneath him, Hibiki decides to appraise himself. A screen appears, showing his name and his age of 16. It lists his race as human and his job as an appraiser, though it curiously adds the word provisional in parentheses. He is only level 1. The voice identifies itself as his status support and explains that it cannot answer personal questions. Hibiki tries to activate a skill called Expert Eye, but nothing happens. When he tries to start a tutorial, the voice informs him it is already running. Finally, he activates a world map skill. Instead of a traditional map, it shows a line tracing his path, revealing that he has spent the entire day walking in circles. After walking until his legs ache, Hibiki finally finds a stone road. He is relieved to be out of the grasslands, but the voice suddenly informs him that he has gained the title of castaway in an isekai. Before he can process that, a vicious monster lunges at him. Before it can strike, a well-aimed arrow pierces the beast, killing it instantly. Hibiki looks up to see a girl standing on a nearby rock. The voice initiates a translation skill, allowing him to understand her language. The girl, Amalia, checks to see if he is injured. Hibiki is struck by her appearance and realizes she is an elf. He mistakenly thinks she is a very dedicated cosplayer until she expresses confusion at the word. She asks what he was doing in the Maze Eater's grassland, and Hibiki explains he just suddenly appeared there. Curious about his savior, Hibiki uses his appraisal skill. He learns her name is Amalia, and she is a level 21 spirit archer. To his absolute shock, the appraisal reveals she is 56 years old. Amalia explains that a Maze Eater is a monster that disguises itself as a field to trap prey until they collapse from exhaustion. She praises Hibiki for surviving such a dangerous place, calling him an impressive child. When she guesses he is 10 or 11 years old, Hibiki corrects her, stating he is 16. Amalia is stunned, unable to believe that someone so small could be considered an adult. That night, they cook the rabbit meat over a fire. Amalia apologizes for misjudging his age, noting that in this world, people are considered adults at 15. Hibiki tells her he comes from a place called Japan, a name she does not recognize. He realizes with a heavy heart that he really is in another world. Amalia promises to take him to a nearby city so he won't be alone. As they prepare to sleep, Amalia casts a protective spell called Air Alarm. She watches Hibiki, noting his strange clothes and trusting nature, wondering if he truly is the precious thing the spirit spoke of. While he sleeps, Hibiki dreams of his old life. He remembers his friends Amane, Kyoko, and Taiki. They teased him about his height and how older women always seemed to give him extra treats at shops. He remembers it was the last day of school before summer break when a bright light flashed and a voice welcomed him to another world. He wakes up to find his phone battery at 12%. He notices green dots floating in the air, and his appraisal skill identifies them as Amalia's magical barrier. Hibiki uses his dictionary skill to learn more about his situation. He discovers his job was assigned by a deity, and that being an appraiser is a rare, non-combat role. In the morning, Amalia wakes up and feels a bit flustered about spending the night with a man, even if he looks like a young boy. The mood becomes awkward when Hibiki returns a button that popped off her shirt during the night, commenting on her large chest size. Amalia, embarrassed and angry, hits him in response. As they continue their journey toward the town of Lowell, Amalia tells him they should arrive in half a day once they clear the forest. She is impressed that Hibiki can sense nearby monsters, and he explains it is because of his world map. Amalia is nearly speechless when she realizes he possesses a AAA rank rarity skill. She explains that such a skill is incredibly rare, and that any adventurer would be desperate to have him in their party. Hibiki admits he doesn't really know what an adventurer is, so his status support explains they are contractors who kill monsters and collect materials for the Adventurers Guild. Amalia calls him a clueless ignoramus but offers to be his friend. When Hibiki asks if there is any danger nearby, he spots a crystal horn rabbit on his map. Amalia becomes extremely excited, explaining that its horn is used for rare potions and can be sold for 200 gold coins. They track the rabbit, and Hibiki appraises it, learning it is level 10 and very stupid, but incredibly fast. It has skills to detect presence and escape danger. Amalia uses her magic to hide their scent and sound, but she is nervous about her own social skills. She secretly hopes to impress Hibiki, so he will ask to join her party, as she is actually quite lonely. Amalia fires a powerful wind arrow, but the rabbit uses its escape skill to dodge at the last second. She realizes they have no chance as long as it can use that skill. Hibiki suggests a plan. The appraisal noted the rabbit cannot use skills while it is attacking. He offers to act as bait to draw the rabbit out. Despite the danger, the plan works perfectly. The rabbit attacks Hibiki, leaving itself vulnerable, and Amalia kills it. The voice informs Hibiki that his main level, job level, and appraisal skill have all increased. Amalia is proud of their teamwork, noting that he used his head to make up for his lack of combat power. Meanwhile, a blonde god watches from a white void, noting that Hibiki has cleared the tutorial phase of his new life. In another part of the world, a girl completes her registration at an adventurer's guild, preparing to set out on a search for something specific. With the tutorial phase of his new life concluded, Hibiki and Amalia soon arrive at the gates of Rowell. Amalia looks at Hibiki's modern school attire and notes that his clothes are far too conspicuous for this world. To help him blend in, she lends him a long cloak. Though the garment is a bit too long for his small stature, she tells him it will serve its purpose for now. She explains that they should use the money from selling the crystal rabbit horn to buy him proper clothes, weapons, and armor. She estimates the horn will fetch at least 200 gold coins. As they walk through the streets, Amalia gives Hibiki a stern warning. She tells him that he needs to stop acting like a clueless child with no common sense, as there are many dishonest people in the city who would jump at the chance to take advantage of him. They eventually reach the Adventurers Guild. A group of seasoned adventurers known as the Silver Banner Party notices Amalia and mocks her, asking if she has finally joined a party or if she is simply working a babysitting job. Amalia firmly defends Hibiki, stating that while he looks young, he is a legal adult. Hibiki feels a bit dejected by their comments but tries to remain polite. The adventurers wish the rookie good luck before heading off. Amalia leads Hibiki deeper into the guild to find a receptionist named Jewel. Jewel greets Amalia warmly, and the elf requests a private room to conduct a high-value transaction. Once they are in a separate office, a massive, incredibly muscular man enters the room. Hibiki is immediately impressed by the man's physique, calling him amazing and super ripped. The man introduces himself as Deliard, the guild master of Rowell. He is flattered by Hibiki's admiration and explains that his body is the result of years of tireless effort. Hibiki laments his own small frame, mentioning that no matter how much he trains, he never seems to gain muscle. Deliard offers him genuine fitness advice, suggesting that he focus on his upper back muscles to create a bulkier appearance. The light-hearted moment is interrupted when Jewel and Amalia use water magic to snap the men back to attention. As the water splashes over them, Hibiki's status support updates his technical grimoire with the spells for creating water and cold water. Jewel, who is also the Vice Guild Master, asks to see the item they wish to sell. Amalia produces the large crystal horn, which causes Deliard to gasp. He notes that it is even larger than a horn Amalia sold 3 years prior. He offers her 400 gold coins, a price Hibiki thinks is fantastic since it is double what Amalia predicted. However, Amalia's personality shifts into that of a fierce negotiator. She calls the offer an insult, pointing out that this horn is 3 times the size of the previous one. She demands 800 gold coins. Hibiki is confused by the aggressive math, but he watches as Deliard and Amalia haggle back and forth. Amalia threatens to take the horn to the capital for a better price, forcing Deliard to cave and offer an even 700 gold coins. After the deal is finalized, Jewel scolds Deliard for going over their budget, telling him his salary will be docked to cover the difference. Amalia is overjoyed by the profit, privately hoping that Hibiki will now ask her to form a permanent party. Her excitement is so great that a button on her shirt pops off for the second time. Jewel quickly ushers the men out of the room so she can help Amalia with her wardrobe and the paperwork. While waiting outside, Hibiki sits at a table and hears his status support announce that his inherent skill, Tutorial Level 1, has reached its level up requirements. The voice explains that the tutorial is a skill given by a god to those with low survival rates to help them learn the knowledge necessary to stay alive. Hibiki is grateful and offers his thanks to the deity. Suddenly, a new male voice speaks directly into his mind. It is the blonde god in the white void we saw earlier. The god tells Hibiki to keep up the reverence, but warns that he cannot intervene all the time. He tells Hibiki that while he will help where he can, Hibiki is ultimately responsible for his own survival. With the level up complete, the voice of the god fades, and the status support informs Hibiki that the direct guidance support has ended. Amalia returns to Hibiki, but at that moment, a receptionist hands her a designated quest from her hometown that she cannot refuse. She tells Hibiki that she has to leave the city immediately for the Elven Kingdom and cannot take him with her. Hibiki realizes that the guide he was meant to lose was actually Amalia herself. Meanwhile, in a dark dungeon, the girl named Yvel searches for something she cannot find. She decides it is time to change locations and head somewhere new. Back in the city, Amalia is worried about leaving Hibiki behind. Hibiki puts on a brave face and tells her not to worry, explaining that she has already done so much for him, and he doesn't want to be a burden. Amalia mentions that she asked Jewel to look after him, and suggests he try being an adventurer himself, noting there are quests for non-combatants. She tells him he can stay in the house where she was living, and gives him a map to find a woman named Tanya at the Smiling Goddess Inn. They promise to meet again soon, and Hibiki tries to return the cloak she gave him. Amalia tells him to keep it as a parting gift. As Amalia rushes toward the city gates, she accidentally crashes into Yvel. She apologizes profusely, and a guard asks why she is in such a hurry. Amalia explains she is heading home to the Elven Kingdom, and Yvel notes that they are heading in the same direction. The two women decide to travel together. That afternoon, Hibiki moves into the inn and spends most of his time sleeping. His phone battery finally dies, and he feels the weight of his loneliness. He finds that the god has stopped speaking to him, and even his attempt to find another world ends in embarrassment when he follows Jewel's vague directions to a local brothel instead of a portal home. He realizes he needs to be more careful about how he speaks, so people don't get suspicious. Hibiki spends his evening at the inn, where the kind owner, Tanya, brings him dinner and checks on his well-being. He worries about his finances, knowing the money from the horn won't last forever. He checks his status and finds he is now level 4. He has also gained several strange titles, including Older Lady Killer. Most importantly, he has acquired 2 new skills, Contract and Medical Book. The status support tells him that he can learn the contents of the medical book by reading it, but warns that he cannot stop the process halfway. Hibiki agrees, expecting a normal reading session. Instead, a surge of magical electricity flows from the book into his brain, forcibly loading vast amounts of medical knowledge into his mind. Days pass as the information settles. Meanwhile, Amalia and Yvel continue their journey. They are met on the road by an elven maid named Stelia, who has come to welcome Amalia home. Amalia happily hugs the maid, who makes a suggestive comment about Amalia's chest. Amalia introduces Stelia to Yvel, confirming that they are now traveling in a party together. Back in Raoul, Hibiki finally finishes his study of the medical book. He heads out to go shopping for armor, feeling exhausted by the mental strain of acquiring the skill. He thanks his status support for the help and decides to give the voice a nickname, Sapo. The system accepts the name, and Hibiki feels a bit more connected to his invisible guide. As he enters the guild, a frantic group of adventurers rushes in carrying a wounded man. It is the Silver Banner Party, and their member Jade is dying after a battle with a silver ruby wolf. He has lost limbs and is bleeding out. Jewel tells them that the guildmaster is out of town, and their healing magic isn't working to stop the bleeding. Hibiki sees the massive amount of blood and realizes he has to help. He uses his medical book skill to examine the man. Sapo detects a substance called diarrhea poison in Jade's body, which is preventing his blood from clotting. Jade has only 5 minutes left to live. Sapo recommends using Hypercure and Perfect Heal to save him, but the spells require 650 MP. Hibiki only has 56. Desperate, Hibiki asks Sapo for a solution, and the system suggests using the contract skill to temporarily borrow magic from others. Hibiki steps forward and asks the adventurers and Jewel to enter a contract with him. He tells them he can save Jade if they transfer all their magic power to him. Though confused, the party members agree, and Jewel joins in to provide the remaining power needed. With the collected MP, Hibiki casts Hypercure to neutralize the poison, and then Perfect Heal to restore Jade's lost limbs and heal his body completely. The party is amazed as Jade begins to breathe normally again. Overcome by the massive drain on his energy, Hibiki faints. He dreams of Amane once more, who scolds him for acting without thinking, though she admits he always had a habit of trying to save everyone. He wakes up to find his job level has increased to level 5, and his technical skills have improved. Jewel is waiting by his bed, expressing her deep gratitude. She reveals that Jade is her younger brother, though they have different mothers. She thanks him for saving his life, but then grows serious. She tells Hibiki that she has issued a gag order to keep his actions a secret. She explains that the ability to use such high-level healing magic is almost unheard of and would make him a target for exploitation. She suggests that since he is a non-combatant, he needs protection. Since joining a party might be too complicated, Jewel tells him there is another option. He can simply hire a professional bodyguard. Following her advice, Hibiki decides to act immediately. He seeks out a reputable agency in the city, which leads him straight to the grand doors of the Debbie Company. Upon entering, he is greeted by the highly eccentric owner, a flamboyant merchant named Debbie, who suddenly twitches his nose and sniffs the air deeply. Feeling incredibly self-conscious, Hibiki immediately defends himself, nervously mentioning that he definitely took a bath before arriving. Debbie quickly waves away his concerns, clarifying that he smells a truly delightful and rare fragrance of future wealth radiating from Hibiki's presence. He gestures toward a large lineup of muscular men, proudly inviting his guest to choose anyone who catches his eye. Hibiki takes a look at the row of hulking warriors, but promptly passes on the entire selection. Internally, he feels a bit guilty about the flat rejection, acknowledging that he has no complaints about their physical strength, but realizes these men lack the massive magic points needed to support high-level healing spells like Perfect Heal or Hypercure from his medical book. Suddenly, the voice of the god echoes in Hibiki's mind, suggesting he go out and find someone himself. Hibiki agrees with the divine advice and apologizes to the merchant, but Debbie encourages him to keep sharing his exact desires, noting that the smell of financial fortune makes his client completely irresistible. Hibiki uses appraisal to check Debbie, revealing a 48-year-old human merchant at level 15, whose status shows he is completely charmed by his own inherent skill, sense for money. This skill grants the ability to smell a beautiful fragrance from anyone destined to acquire enormous riches in the near future. Though Hibiki finds it a bit confusing, he deduces that the quirky merchant simply has a supernatural love for gold. Debbie then points toward a separate, neglected corner of the facility, explaining that the options over there possess significant flaws and cannot return to their respective homelands, so he found it in his heart to let them stay. Empathizing with their lonely outsider status, Hibiki asks to be led to them. Debbie's financial scent intensifies even more, and he excitedly guides Hibiki to the back holding area. They soon arrive in front of a heavy iron cage containing a large, menacing wolf and a small human girl. Debbie explains that the wolf went on a wild rampage trying to protect the girl, who possesses magic that violently bursts out uncontrollably. The wolf glares directly at Hibiki and lets out a harsh growl, telling the kid to get lost immediately. Shivering at the hostile reception, Hibiki runs a basic appraisal on the beast, but the job line is hidden and the level shows as a mere level 1 with blacked out statistics. Sapo's voice interrupts inside his head, warning him that his expert eye skill has detected a clear falsification of stats. Forgetting how expert eye functions, Hibiki apologizes internally to his assistant. Sapo patiently recommends that he execute the dictionary function to look it up. Hibiki commands the system to open the dictionary and searches for the term, learning that expert eye is an incredibly rare SSS rank divine blessing bestowed by a god that perceives the absolute truth behind everything through an active, enlightened mode. Reappraising the beast with expert eye, Hibiki discovers he is actually a 26-year-old wolf beastman named Claude. His status is bound, and his job shows a suppressed knight level 15 that originally sat at a legendary hero level 95, heavily restricted by an SS rank invisible curse called Immovable Chain. Blown away by finding a genuine hero, Hibiki then appraises the 10-year-old girl, Lillian. Her screen reveals a future sage job and a raging state of out-of-control magic caused by an SS rank inherent skill called Raging Sanctuary, which connects her soul directly to the realm of the gods, but inevitably leads to self-destruction as a divine trial. The god chimes in, explaining it is a mandatory trial for a sage. Appalled by the cruelty, Hibiki questions how the god could inflict this on a small girl, but the deity tells him to do as he likes. Sappo recommends using the technical skill relief measure level 1 to alleviate the unjust restrictions. Deciding to take both prisoners, Hibiki informs Debbie. The merchant clutches his throat in absolute ecstasy, wheezing that the luxurious scent of fortune is actively choking him, leaving Hibiki wondering if the establishment is truly safe. Deep in a forest, the freed wolf demands to know what Hibiki plans to do to them all the way out in the wilderness. Hibiki calmly reassures him that he will not harm the girl, though he might do plenty of things to Claude himself. The wolf reacts with immediate alarm, but Hibiki clarifies that he simply wants to heal him, asking Lillian to enter a contract to share her mana pool. Lillian eagerly agrees, stating that Claude has always stayed by her side to help her, so she wants to return the favor this time. Sappo confirms the contract's acceptance. Hibiki activates his medical book and casts Perfect Heal, enveloping the massive wolf in a soothing light. Claude stands up in complete astonishment, noticing the heavy weight has vanished, though he admits he is still not in top shape yet. Hibiki explains the lingering curse is responsible, revealing he knows Claude is a hero and Lillian is a future sage due to his divine expert eye. Ready to help further, Hibiki executes Relief Measure Level 1. A single spectral chain snaps in his vision, and Hibiki complains to the god that it only managed to cut one bond. The god notes it is only a Level 1 skill, but Claude gasps as a massive surge of his original strength returns to his limbs. Deeply grateful, the wolf humbles himself, apologizing for his previous rudeness and requesting the sacred ceremony of allegiance to devote his soul to his new master. Sappo recommends utilizing the contract skill to bind their promises absolutely, explaining that it holds both parties to their words. Hibiki executes the contract skill, and Claude drops to his knees, pledging his body and soul to protect his lord for the rest of his life with every fiber of his being. Hibiki softly gives his approval, completing the ritual as a glowing spirit crest materializes on his hand. The scene transitions briefly to a mountain path where Emalia, Styria, and Ivor are traveling. Emalia points out that there are supposed to be hot springs up ahead, suggesting they stop there to rest for the day. Styria reacts with immediate excitement, thrilled by the prospect of a relaxing bath where she can view Amalia's marvelous twin peaks, but she panics as she realizes Ivor would also be there, quickly demanding they skip the springs to remain frugal. She argues that entering a bath requires being completely naked and unarmed, meaning that lowering their guard around someone they barely know is far too dangerous. Amalia sighs, calling her completely paranoid, and argues that washing each other's backs is normal among friends, eagerly insisting they go. Back in the forest, Hibiki finishes explaining his magical limitations to his new companions, noting his low personal mana pool requires their pooled cooperation. Claude and Lillian happily agree to share their resources, and Sappo executes the contract skill, causing Hibiki's technical grimoire skill to level up. Noticing Hibiki staring blankly into space, Claude asks if he is speaking to an invisible voice. Hibiki admits that a voice named Sappo-chan teaches him all kinds of things, leading Claude to deduce that Hibiki possesses the tutorial skill and the title of a wanderer from another world. Hibiki confirms he is from an isekai, and when Lillian asks what that means, Claude explains simply that their master traveled from an impossibly distant realm to save them. Claude marvels at the tutorial skill, noting it is a miraculous blessing from the chief god, the first and most powerful of the 11 deities ruling this world. The god proudly tells Hibiki to keep revering him, causing Hibiki to note how casual the supreme deity behaves. Hibiki shifts the focus to Lillian's dangerous Raging Sanctuary skill. Lillian becomes depressed upon hearing it destroys her body with immense power, and Claude reveals she was shunned by her family and sold as collateral for a loan due to her wild energy. Hibiki blames the chief god, but Claude clarifies that the god of magic holds jurisdiction over arcane traits. The god of magic suddenly manifests her consciousness, explaining that while deities cannot easily remove a granted skill, Hibiki can use his grimoire to adjust Lillian's power, booting up the automatic administration network to assist him. Hibiki expresses deep gratitude. He activates the grimoire skill, causing a small white cat named Veen to materialize. Veen introduces itself as a mighty sacred beast created by the god of magic to teach Lillian proper magic control, telling them to leave everything to its expertise, which Hibiki finds incredibly cute.